Welcome back to this tutorial. We will today talk about the config directory with its files. Okay, but before to do that, let me just tell you that regarding the footer, I did not continue with the payment section and the footer, the bottom footer here. We're gonna do this at the end of this series. Okay, so let's go back to the documentation and let's talk about the config directory. So the config files define settings in the team settings area of the team editor, as well as store their values. All right, so the team settings are a good place to host general settings such as typography and color options. Team settings can be accessed through the settings object. So more of that very soon. Where can you place these settings data? These settings data are placed inside the config directory, and it can accept 3 files. Okay, so the settings schema.json, it controls the organization and contents of the team settings area of the team editor, and it is required. The second file is the settings data.json. It contains the saved value from the settings schema.json, and it is required. And we also have the markets.json, set the source of inheritance of the market specific teams customizations, and is not required. So if I go back to my VS Code, make sure that you're running your server, and we have the config directory here. So Shopify expecting you to have at least these 2 files. If it's not there, you're going to have an error, or Shopify is going to make it for you. When working with the config files, you should familiarize yourself with the following. The settings types. Setting types are the input settings and the sidebar settings. The input settings, we already talked about it. It's every input that accepting the type, the ID, the label, which are all required. Okay, and the type can accept like a lot of the followings here. So we learn about the checkbox, we learn about the range, the select, the text area, we learned about the inline rich text, and so on. Okay, so this you already know how to use it. Great. So the next one is the sidebar settings. This one also we learn about it. It's, if I go back to the announcement bar here, sidebar settings are something like this. Okay, where you define the type as either header, or either you can accept another value as a paragraph like this. Okay, and of course you're going to use the content to specify which content is going to be. You can even add another attribute as info. Okay, so then we need to learn how to access these settings. So to access these settings, remember before, when creating like sections here inside the sections directory, we use something like this to access the data. We did section dot settings. Okay, and then we append the ID, okay, which is going to be the name of the current ID of one of the object here. So this is how we accessed the data inside the files that reside inside the section directory. If you want to access data that reside inside the settings schema.json, the syntax is going to be different. So you're going to access it without using the section. So it's going to be simply settings that appending the ID name. Okay, so something like this. All right, this is out of the way. And then we will also talk about the metadata. All right, so let's start with the settings schema. So if you want to have an idea what it is exactly, let's go back to your Shopify admin, click on import theme, and click on visit theme store. When you go over here, choose any random theme here. Make sure it is at least paid, or even it is not paid, it does not matter. I will choose this one. You need to click on try theme, and it's going to download this theme inside your Shopify admin. There you go. So once you have the theme installed here, click on customize, and then you go to this icon over here, you click on it, and then you you're gonna have all these settings here. Okay, so all these settings that you see here, for example, color, you can add a bunch of color over here. For example, you have a typography, you can choose typographies here. You have a design. This is how they naming their settings. Okay, the naming, it depends really on you. So all these settings that you see here are stored inside the settings schema.json, and we have also our own over here. If I go back to our development store, so this is our own settings. So if I go back here, and let's say we delete everything, so we're gonna start from scratch and save it. Okay, so we're already getting some error, it's normal. So how to create a settings schema.json? So let's come back down here. The schema settings.json files is an array of objects that represent settings categories. Each object needs to have the following attributes. So a name, it is required, and the name is the name of the category of the settings, and the settings is an array of associated settings, and it is also required. Okay, so first it is an array of objects. So let's go back to our settings.json, settings schema.json. Let's create an array. Okay, and this array is going to be accepting objects. All right, so and here we can give it a name and the settings, but for now let's talk about the metadata before continuing. So when you go just a little bit down, you have usage. Okay, you have adding metadata. So if I click on adding metadata, so they're telling you as a team author, you can include additional metadata for your team in the team actions menu of the team editor. This menu appear in the left of the team editor top bar. Okay, so to add this metadata, you can include the team info object in the settings schema.json, which we already about to do, and this object must include the following attribute. So let's go back here. We already have our first object, and this we are doing the metadata. So it accepts a name, okay, and it is required. The value of this attribute must be team info. Okay, so let's add the name here. So, and let's call it, let's say team YouTube. All right, and it's accepting what else? A team name, so the name of the team. So let's also like add it. It's going to be, I will give it the same name, so team YouTube. And over here we have the team author. Okay, so I will give my name, for example. So let's say I give my name over here, and it's accepting also the team version. So let's copy that. So we have team version, and we can say it's version 1. Okay, and then it's accepting the documentation URL, and it's also like mandatory. And then we can add some link here. Let me go to Google or to this Shopify link, just copy that. It's just for educational purpose. And we can add the last one, which is the team support email or the team support URL. So here you need to be careful. They say here all of the above attributes are required. However, you need to specify only the team support email or the team support URL. So let's go with the team support email. Okay, so something like this, and I will give it little test gmail.com. Okay, so if I save it, let me check my terminal, and it seems like I have an error. And if I go back to the documentation, and the name here, as you can see, the value of this attribute must be team info. I did not read this one correctly before, so my apologies. So let's go back here and replace this name with team info. It must be team info here. So if I save it, and we are good to go now. And if I go back to my development store and I refresh the page, and you click on this three dot here, you're going to have the settings we just created. We have our name of the team, we have the version 1 for now, and we have the author, which is in this case here my name. All right, so I'm going to show you how to create one setting, okay, and we're going to learn how to use it in the few.